The question I get asked most when I tell people that I roast coffee is, where do you get your beans from? To which I usually reply, stop talking about my beans. The second question that I get asked most is, what is it actually? I forgot. What's the second? But the question I get asked second most is, where do you roast your coffee? Which we're not going to talk about today either. But the question I get asked third most often is, where do the flavors on the coffee bag come from? That's what we're talking about today. Flavor, baby. Flavor. Taking you to Flavor Town. More specifically, how I was able to roast this coffee to taste exactly like peaches. Where was I? We're talking about flavor. Flavor in coffee, how it gets there. Oh, no, no, no. I think that dog just peed on my backpack. Did he pee on the backpack? Missed it, just barely. I don't think he had anything in the tank. So where do these flavors come from in coffee? Well, the long answer is that it's really complicated and it comes from a bunch of different, Jesus. Well, the answer is pretty complex. It comes from a bunch of different factors and choices that we make along the way. Where do we go from the fruit that's on the tree? If you didn't know that coffee is a fruit, to the green coffee that I buy and then roast. I'll dive into all the details, but it can be sort of summed up into one word that if you're a wine person, you've definitely heard of before, and that word is terroir. Terroir. Terroir, it's a French word. I probably butchered the pronunciation. I can't even pronounce. Terroir is basically all of the different factors that come together to create the unique characteristics of a given crop, in this case, coffee. Now, say what you will about the French, but they do know one thing, and that is wine. And so I think that the comparison of terroir and wine to coffee is quite similar because at the end of the day, they're both fruit that we turn into a drink. So it makes a lot of sense. And there's a police helicopter above me. We basically stole from wine. Don't get mad at me, it wasn't my idea. But a lot of people have feelings about terroir, whether it's real, I guess, or sort of just like a construct that we've made up. I guess it's a word, so it is a construct. The idea that like there's this like perfect natural way to get flavor, I think I take a little bit of issue with, and I think other people do too. I think the sort of big heady idea that people think about when they think about terroir is sort of minimal human intervention. How can we sort of make this as like natural as possible so that we're literally tasting the dirt that the fucking coffee was grown in? Charlie's just snacking on grass. I think it's sort of easy to get caught up in that idea, but the reality is that coffee is not naturally grown in like 90% of these places that we grow coffee in now. We have human intervention all over the place, every single step. It's not like you can go and freaking go up to a coffee plant and like squeeze the cherries and get like brown liquid out. That's just like, that's not how coffee works. I'm gonna try and do something cool, and I don't know if it's gonna work, so just bear with me. If it doesn't work, I'll look like an idiot. So essentially it boils down to a handful of things like where we grow the coffee, the geography, the type of soil and how good that soil is, sun, how much sun it gets, the water, how much water it gets, how do we process the coffee, how do we get the fruit off of the seed, the bean that we're using. Charlie, don't run away. She's gonna run away. And roasting, obviously, roasting, the one thing that I do. And all of these things come together to make chemistry in our coffee that is going to change the flavor of how it tastes. Charlie has fully run off. I gotta go get her. Look how beautiful it is out. This is gorgeous. I haven't been here since the fires, so I'm excited about being outside. And I think if you're gonna take one thing away from this video, it would be that the flies will not get out of my ears. So I think if you're going to take one thing away from this video, it would be this, that every step that we take in the coffee supply chain, every decision that we make, where we grow the coffee, the type of coffee we grow, how we get the fruit off of the coffee, impact the chemistry of the coffee, which then impacts what flavors we get out of the coffee. That's the big idea. There it is. Now that we know where flavor in coffee comes from in a broad sense, what if we wanted to just sort of toss out all that fancy French stuff and really just like force a coffee to taste like a certain thing? Is that possible? Can we do that? Well, the answer is yes. Well, mostly yes, because at the end of the day, we are kind of adding things to coffee to make it taste like a certain thing. The first way and sort of the old school way that we would do this is like flavoring the coffee. So usually this is done after the coffee is roasted. You, as the roaster, would like put some oil or flavoring or spray it with some like synthetic chemical spray that's gonna make it taste like a certain thing. And then you have fucking Einstein's hazelnut vanilla coffee. That's what that that's the kind of idea. Or like the Keurig coffee that's flavored. Usually these are labeled like flavored coffee. And those are, I would say, pretty bad, pretty icky. So because of Einstein hazelnut vanilla coffee and Keurig coffee and all of these different sort of synthetic ways to flavor coffee, we know that it's possible to change how coffee tastes by adding something to it. But what if we wanted to do that in a more sort of less gross spraying chemicals on your coffee kind of way? How would we do that? Well, there's a couple of different ways, but the one that I want to talk about today is co-fermentation, which is really kind of exactly what it sounds like. Now, before we talk about co-fermentation, I think it's important that we understand fermentation and why we use it in coffee. The reason we use fermentation in coffee originally wasn't actually to like make it taste like a certain thing. It was actually just utilitarian. It's just to get the coffee fruit, the coffee cherry, off of the seed. That's it. That's the whole reason like fermentation was used. But we also found that fermenting, as you do with beer and wine and all kinds of other good juicy drinks, fermentation adds some really cool flavors that, you know, we like to drink. So bonus, awesome bonus. So fermentation is just basically a bunch of microorganisms like yeast and bacteria and stuff that just like eat carbs and like fart CO2 for the most part. That's probably not. What else about fermentation do we need to talk about? I can't remember. There's two types of fermentation, broad strokes, that we're sort of dealing with here. I'm not a scientist and this is just sort of generalizing, so you know, go easy on me. But anyway, the two types that we're gonna be dealing with is natural fermentation or spontaneous fermentation and artificial fermentation. Now, natural fermentation happens, as you might expect, naturally. It happens when we put coffee in the sun and let it dry in the natural process. It happens when we use the honey process, which is this big, sticky, gooey mess that doesn't actually use honey, but it's called honey because it looks a little bit like honey when it's sticky, pulpy mess. And fermentation happens in the wash process as well, which is why I think most people, those are like the three common ones, which is why I think most people say all coffee has fermentation, but it's not true. Mechanically demucilaged coffee. It's big in Brazil. Now for our coffee that we want to taste like peaches, this coffee here, this one we do want fermentation. So we're gonna be using the honey process. Charlie likes the smell of it. You like peaches? Yeah, it's good stuff. Now, as you can imagine, throwing out all that fancy French stuff and potentially introducing something other than just coffee is, well, it's a little controversial, to be totally honest with you. And some people have taken, let's say, strong stances on this being something that they don't like, which is fine. You're allowed to have your opinion. That's okay. How do we co-ferment coffee? Like I mentioned, most coffee goes through a fermentation process, but usually co-fermentation happens in the same kind of fermentation tanks or like vats or jars, I guess. What's the word? Fermentation tank, which is like what you'd see with like beer and winemaking and that kind of thing. I'll put a picture up. But essentially those other items, fruit usually, or like spices, sometimes yeast, special yeasts like they would use in brewing. I've even heard of hops, which is kind of crazy, influence the flavor of the coffee by fermenting inside this big fermentation tank with it, which is really cool. And it changes the flavors that we can get out of the coffee. It's crazy that that works. She's Husky, Pit Bull, and German Shepherd. Charlie's eating more salad. Can't stop her. Dude, the people say my ASMR. Another one? Anyway, a lot of stuff from beer and wine, like yeast and these other ways of fermenting things, has made its way into coffee. And I think for some that's very controversial, and you know, they find it icky. I think you know, I think we should all just chill out a little bit. So why are we talking about this today? Why did I make this video? Well, one, I think it's really cool, and I think that it gets a bit of a bad rep because of the flavored coffee that I talked about earlier, and I don't think I'm in frame. Well, the first reason is definitely because I just think it's cool. I think it's really exciting to see what producers specifically are doing to impact the flavor of coffee, because as a coffee roaster, I can only really impact the flavor of a coffee so much, like, I don't know, like this much, because all of those choices in that coffee supply chain that we've talked about, those have already been made. I don't need to make all those choices, but those choices have much bigger impacts than the choices that I make really do. But if you're a producer, you can impact the coffee like 10, 20 times that. you can just do so many more things. There's so many more variables that producers have at their disposal to sort of change the flavor of coffee. And I think that some of these new experimental sort of new ways of processing coffee, like co-fermentation, are just, they open up a whole world of possibilities. And I find that very exciting. I think the deeper into coffee that I get and the more that I learn, the more that I am just sort of excited about producers. And I think it has much bigger impacts on both the planet, obviously, farming, you know, making real choices that impact the environment, but also from a flavor standpoint, what you can get out of a coffee. And I just think there's a lot cooler choices that they get to make that I'm a little bit jealous of, if I'm totally honest. The other reason I wanted to make this video is that honestly, I just think that most of the time, roasters are the ones who are like visible in coffee, and they make, don't get me wrong, it's a cool thing and it's a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it. It's like so exciting to me. But we aren't the superstars of coffee. We're not. I don't think that we ever have been, and I don't think that we ever will be. I think that the real people who deserve the spotlight for all of this really exciting and honestly fucking hard work are producers. And all of the cool stuff, for the most part, that's happening in coffee is happening because of producers, not because of idiots like me. I don't think every producer needs to co-ferment coffee, but I do think it's really fun to see people push the envelope and do some exciting new stuff. New things can be scary, but they can also be exciting. So I guess what I'm trying to say is co-fermentation is just a new choice in that process, and it changes the flavor of the coffee pretty dramatically, which I find really cool. What do you think? You don't really care, you just want more snacks. You want another treat? Watch how gentle she can take it. Watch this. So gentle, 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 gentle. Gentle, gentle. Ah, that wasn't gentle. Gentle, 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 gentle. Good job. Now, I already roasted this coffee a few weeks ago, so I have it with me, and let's go make some. Let's go try it and see how it tastes. Let's go drink some peaches. Peach coffee. This is how I would describe this coffee. It's sort of like peach tea meets coffee. The two of those things sort of makes you want to just kind of like, just vibe out, get weird. Sort of get weird with it. That's how I feel when I drink this. Just really make it feel, get the point across. What I'm tasting in this cup is what I want you to feel. It's amazing, it's delicious. I love coffee. Coffee's so fun. And they co-ferment these coffees with like strawberries and watermelons and like all kinds of cool, crazy fruits. I just want to try them all. I want to try them all, but realistically, I can't afford to buy. I could. Everyone officially thinks that I'm nuts in this park. Check out my Patreon if you want to try this coffee, and just any of my coffee in general. And if you want to try this one, just send me a message and sign up, send me a message, and I'll send you the peach one. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. An extra thank you to my Patreon supporters who buy coffee from me every single month, and I ship it to them in a custom printed bag, and they were able to try this delicious co-fermented peach coffee last month. I was trying to get this video out earlier, but it's just like I had stuff going on. But it's also my last video of the year, and I sort of wanted to do something a little bit extra to say thank you specifically to Patreon folks, and really anyone who's watching, but specifically Patreon folks. I have a surprise for you that if you don't want to know what it is, then you can stop watching the video now. But if you do want to know what it is, I'm gonna spoil it for you. So 3, 2, 1. Spoiler warning. I made you all mugs, and I wanted to do a special little something, make you all sort of a special gift to say thank you for supporting me this year, and I hope you enjoy them. There's a million places that you could buy coffee from, and I'm just really, really grateful that you choose to buy coffee from me. And Charlie appreciates it too. It means a lot. So yeah, that's what I wanted to do, say thank you, and yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next one. See you in the new year. Okay. Later. All right, let's go.